In 1933, a group of U.S. businessmen tried to overthrow the government and install a fascist dictator. And it almost worked. Right in the middle of the Great Depression even, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt came in with the New Deal. Banking reform, labor protections, and taxes on the wealthy. And guess what happened? The richest men in America crashed the fuck out. We're talking DuPont, JP Morgan, executives tied to General Motors, Remington, Goodyear, Standard Oil, the tip of the spear. So what did they do? Well, they planned a coup, a real one. And they needed a popular military hero to help pull it off, right? Enter Major General Smedley Butler, the most decorated Marine in U.S. history at that time. This guy was beloved by veterans, a real soldier. And they thought if he led the coup, the public would trust it. Now, while families were skipping meals, losing their homes in 1933, the elite backers of this coup were living like nothing was wrong. In 1933, the richest families held 40% of all U.S. wealth. Today, the top 2% still holds about 42% of all national wealth. 4 out of every $10 in this country. Now, back in 1933, the wealthy were still hosting private galas, awarding themselves bonuses, while the average family works harder for less. So when FDR raised their taxes and asked them to pay a little, they didn't tighten their belts. They decided to overthrow the government. And here was the plan. They would bankroll a private army of 500,000 veterans at a cost of over $30 million. That's $700 million today. They'd march on Washington and force FDR to accept a new position called the Secretary of General Affairs, basically a fancy term for American dictator, modeled directly on how Mussolini and Hitler took power. They told Butler, don't worry about media coverage. The newspapers will support us, they said, because many of the biggest publishers at that time were tied to the same industries funding the coup. And they wanted to use the American Legion, the nation's largest veterans group, as their backbone. And this wasn't fringe. This wasn't 1930s 4chan shit. This was the American elite trying to burn down democracy to protect their profits. Here's the thing. Butler wasn't corrupt. He went along with it for a spell, a snippet, a stint. And then he went straight to Congress. He testified under oath. He dropped names. He laid out the whole plot. And Congress confirmed it. The McCormack-Dickenstein Committee, the group that was later the House Un-American Activities Committee, said, and I quote, "There is evidence that supports General Butler's testimony on the existence of this plot." Now, the coup was real. So naturally, in America, those perpetrators were prosecuted, right? I mean, a plot to overthrow our democracy. Gotta bring that swift hammer of justice down, right? But in America, we don't prosecute the wealthy. We never have. None of the businessmen were ever prosecuted, not a single one. They were too wealthy, too politically connected, too important to the American economy. So the report was quietly filed away, downplayed, and erased from textbooks. Democracy rarely collapses because of the workers. It collapses when powerful people at the top feel threatened. The danger has always been the people who have everything to lose.